we'll just start with the little roll call. So I'm Quinn Peterson from the Downtown Business Alliance, and I am the chair of the design review and don't have any conflicts.
I'm James Hall, just a citizen in Provo, live in Oak Hills, and I don't have any conflicts either.
I'm Carol Walker. I have downtown property. I'm a concerned citizen, and I don't have any conflicts.
Okay, so item 1 today, Dudley and Associates requests design review approval for 225,000 feet of phased office space in a proposed PO zone located approximately 5515 North Edgewood Drive in the River Bottoms neighborhood.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll just briefly introduce you to the site and show you the slides that we have for the applicant to go through. I believe they also may have brought a materials board that they can bring up to you when they present. So this is the area we're looking at for item 1. It's North University, Edgewood Drive there, just south of 5600 North. It's a few different properties that are going through a bunch of applications, including a rezone and concept plan and things like that. And part of that is taking the architectural elevations through this committee. So we've got for your review, the landscape site plan. We've got a number of renderings that you can go through as they present. And then we've got the elevations. So I'll hand the clicker over to the applicants and let them present.
Awesome. And then just because I think it's helpful, come on up, and if you have a materials board, that'd be great. Just so that you know the format, I don't know if you've been here before. We'd love for you guys to show, renderings, materials, walk us through the project, and then we'll have a period of Q&A where we'll just ask you some clarifying questions, and then we'll close that, and then we'll have a discussion and make recommendation.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So my name is Rob Budetti. I'm with Architects Orange, one of the partners at AO. So we're the architect on this project. Let's see if I can. I guess we start on the site plan. We're proposing approximately, I think it's about 320,000 square feet of office space. They're really a creative office is what they're hoping to do at this location, incubator space, a startup for new companies. And so that's what they're looking for. It would be phased over 3 phases. So I'll show you the different phases as we go. And the parking structure would only be added when you get to the 3rd phase because we're taking parking that we'd be using for phase 1 and phase 2. So I can walk you through. It's not, oh, there we go. Let me go to the floor plans first. If I, do I have, they're not in there? Oh, just the elevations. Okay. Sorry about that. So you can see on the plan, they're trying to create something that's a little different in Provo that is iconic in the area, being the location. And the intent is to build these similar to the original idea was recreating a hangar kind of architecture. I was, very interested for the owner. That's what started the project. The materials that we'll be using are 2 different types of metal. You can see in some of the renderings, there's 2 different colors. They'd actually have different profiles, and you'll see them on the material boards. We'd be using glass, wood, and then a printed wood metal panels, and then there would be some wood elements as well. And the idea is to just keep it very simple, kind of iconic forms, and not overdo it with too many materials, and just like I said, just keep it simple, creative office space. So, excuse me. I don't know what the
They don't have a builder lined up yet, but
yeah, I don't know.
The owner.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And so these are just different views of the buildings. This is the main entry off the intersection. So really kind of faces, and I think it's kind of the entry portal to Provo is on the corner of the property, and trying to, you know, respect that and create another element that, you know, defines the entry into Provo.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay. So the idea is to create these, there's pods, and then there's connecting pods that become the, what we call the we space. And then they could take the whole building, they could take a floor, they can take a office. You know, the idea is really to create a space that a company could start in and grow and stay on campus. So that's the kind of the overall intent of the building. Let me see. So again, I mean, the architecture is very simple. Like I said, it's really more form driven. The materials we tried to keep, you know, down to a minimum, and really let the buildings speak for themselves. And you know, a lot of glass, you know, for the views, and just to create a nice work environment. So I don't know. Am I going backwards? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there was more that you needed.
I think that's great. We can run through a handful of questions.
Sure.
Wanna go for it?
Is the white rectangular volume shown in the third elevation down the parking? What is that
Yes.
volume?
To the right. Yes.
Yeah.
That would be the future parking structure, like I said, which would come in phase 3.
Does it show up in any of the other renderings?
Let me see. I thought we had an error.
And then Aaron, just to clarify,
You
while
got
that
to see it in this one too here. In the right.
this is a zone that doesn't require commercial on the main floor, right? For a parking structure.
I believe it does.
Okay.
Like retail, you're talking about on the
Correct,
floor?
yeah.
Yes. No, I do not believe that that's part of this.
Okay.
So the parking structure is totally separate.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Standalone structure, which would be built just when the far left building is built. So we're going to start with in this image on my right. We'd build the upper building on the corner first at the main entry, and then extend it to the next building, and then the freestanding building would be the third building. And at that point, because of the added square footage and removing the parking, we would need to add a parking structure.
So you won't have all the parking to begin with.
No, we're using the parking to begin with.
Surface.
And then when I build the third one, it takes parking away and
Thank
also requires me to add more. And that's why we need to go to a structure by the time you go to phase 3.
Are there subsequent phases after 3? For the
No,
other
this would
buildings?
be it for this project.
I had a few, unfortunately, we used to have a landscape architect on our committee and we don't anymore. And every meeting I was impressed because he'd ask, we see green shrubs, trees. He would ask what they are, what species, what type, just because in the history of building this stuff in Provo, we've just learned some stuff doesn't work. Some stuff has those invasive beetles.
Yeah.
You know, we're learning right here, all these sycamores don't work because of a moisture issue. So what are these trees? And
you know, I don't know. Do you have the? I have the original submittal, so I could, if I just grab it out of my bag.
and I'm not a botanist, so
Yeah.
I don't know how to be critical. I just know that there are a lot of trees that look nice that people put in projects that end up not looking nice long term.
Yeah, and we
yeah, totally.
Julie
And
Smith.
record it. Yeah.
So when we started this project, I went through the city landscape requirement and the type of trees and the type of bushes. And I know our architect, you know, did those because you guys had, like you said, certain trees and certain bushes. So we did do those. I'm
Great.
sorry, that doesn't help you right now, but
No problem. And
I know they had the list.
I just wanted to check and see, you know, what sort of thought was put into the long term
yeah, there
for
was
the
a lot.
the
Yeah.
trees.
Thank you.
we definitely followed the guidelines, and the landscape architect that did the plan has done a lot of projects in Utah. So is familiar with the palette. And like I said, every tree that is specified, it was submitted in the the original
In the
package.
standard. Okay.
Yeah. And so the trees are in there.
And then, Aaron, I just know that we recently, I guess it's been a couple years ago, we had another project that was in this area, but it was a little bit further south. And there were some very specific design standards because it was near the Jamestown area. This is too far north. So this is excluded from that, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, this is not in that design corridor.
Okay.
So we've checked the architecture. It's a concept, but we've checked that against our standards. And just to hit back on the trees and landscaping, those are things that would be reviewed in the project plan, and we have our urban forester to make sure that that's all going to work.
Okay. I had a couple more. I was going to ask now, this doesn't matter either way. But I always get nervous when we have so much of these superficial materials, especially just when we think back 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Is it going to look like, oh, that's when they made all that fake wood garbage everywhere?
Right.
So I'm curious, what do we know about longevity on this digital print? Do we have materials that have been installed for a long period of time?
Yeah,
I'm just curious about wear and
we've
tear.
been using that for at least 10 years.
Okay.
And we try to limit, we try to limit the use of that to where that can't be damaged by the public.
Sure.
So a little bit out of the reach, because really that will last 20 or 30 years. If you can't scratch it up,
right?
Because it is a print.
But weathering
Great. is it will weather way better than a natural material. I mean, that's
sure.
Especially out here. And so we do have some natural wood. We have some roof deck elements, and there'll be some natural elements. So where people kind of can touch and feel, we'll bring the wood back in.
Sure.
But then just for the long-term look of the building, they'll look much better. But just understanding it's really
sure.
not made to be down where people can touch and scratch it, because that's the only way it wears out, really.
So the Smith family didn't want to go restain every 3 years
Right.
on the exterior.
Every 6 months.
No, that's understandable. Okay. Yeah. And the last thing I was going to ask about is there any plans for exterior lighting to accent architecture on this project?
Yes, we would bring in architectural lighting consultant and really highlight the features, kind of the shape. So as you're driving by at night, they would kind of have a nice glow. And because they're mostly glass, they would really kind of have a nice glow most of the time anyway. But we would want to be highlighting the architecture.
Sure.
Like I said, because the form really, they're very simple, but I think it's the form that's striking. So
sure. And that's great. I just was curious because there are different ways to do it. And sometimes it creates more light pollution when it's shooting up versus fully cut off lights. So if it's shining down, there's just a lot of different ways to do it. And I just didn't see anything here in the renderings for that. So you don't know quite what that's going to look like yet?
We don't, but I mean, we would definitely be following any of the standards regarding, lighting and light pollution and cutoff. So
I really like it. I like the design. I like that it's different, but it's not going to be dated. Right. I don't think. Talked about different areas.
Sure.
Tell, okay, they were built at this time, you said.
Right.
So very original.
Thank you.
I generally like the design a lot as well. I didn't see hangar. I saw more like mountain skyline. Initially.
That's where it started when we got the call. He's like, hey, he sent us a picture of a hangar. It was a really nice, sure. not out here, but a really nice hangar that it's really, it's just that shape, that's, kind of reminiscent of maybe a hangar building or something else that was converted, it really is to kind of feel converted into, more creative space, like a lot of the buildings we see happening, especially here in Salt Lake.
Yeah. Only design critique is that I feel that the parking lot sort of becomes this like separating factor within the campus. And I understand that it's probably unlikely that one business would be occupying all of these spaces.
Right. And we actually had the one separate building turned to align the street and really maybe be a little bit closer. But there was a desire, I think, from the city to keep there's a road at this end and to kind of maintain that traffic through the site, because it does today. so we ended up having to rotate that building back. And that's why it feels a little separate, because there is a pseudo road. I mean, it's not an official, public street, but you can see the connecting on this image, that connection. They wanted to maintain it all the way across the property. And so we ended up rotating the building back and put it along the river.
So I drove up there. That road isn't finished.
No, it's not there today, but the ask was to, keep that traffic flow. We had it kind of go around and then up and over. So you went around the building, but they had asked us to change it. So we agree. We originally wanted it a little bit closer.
I think maybe the only design recommendation from my side, and I'm not saying it needs to be a requirement, but this site plan actually shows it nicely. There's the white sort of umbilical cord, whatever you want to call it, connector. I think really focusing on that to make it feel less parking lot-y, right? So that you can, as a pedestrian, walk from one building to another if your company does have space in both, and have that be like a nice, not walk across the desert of parking to get to the other side.
Definitely. I think that'd be the intent, was to really make it feel like a campus. And, if you want to go from building to buildings, it wouldn't just be this, concrete sidewalk in the middle of nowhere. So likely there'd be maybe even some trellis structures, something to identify it, and little pause points along the way, so that it's, it doesn't just feel like you said, sidewalk in a big retail center.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions for these guys, or do we want to move? Okay. All right. I can't remember before. Is this where we jump to public comment? Nah. So do we have any public comment, either in the room or digitally? Oh, we don't. Okay, great. Just in the room. Okay.
Oh, sure. It was Rob, and the last name is Budetti. Thanks.
Okay. I don't see any public comment, so we'll go to discussion for a motion. I also think it's fantastic. I don't really have any big concerns. I think it looks great. I think it'll be a great addition. I do really understand that concern about connecting the campus. I do think here just kind of looks like a cement strip. I hope so. Do we want to make a recommendation? So that in this process, we can make a recommendation, or we can make a requirement. A requirement obviously is more firm, but a recommendation just goes in the notes as you move forward through the process, so everyone else can just see we made a recommendation, but it's not binding. Do you want to make that as a recommendation?
Sure. So I'd make a recommendation to carefully consider the connector between both sides of the campus and make sure that the pedestrian experience will be a pleasant one as they cross through the parking lot.
And I guess that's the motion, and then I'll second it. All in favor?
Okay.
Cool. So looks great. We're excited. This will be a fun addition.
Just to tie that nicely, could you actually make a formal motion to approve with the recommendation?
Sorry, we forgot to add that. Okay. So I guess the motion is to approve the project with the said recommendation of thoughtful pedestrian perspective connecting those two properties, or those two structures. That is seconded.
I second the motion.
Okay, then we all in favor?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So if you could jump us through to item number 2. Okay. Item 2, Robert Olsen requests design review. What was that? Oh, Carol. Item 2, Robert Olsen requests design review application for a new 4,160 square foot commercial building in the SC3 zone located at 475 West, 2310 North.
Okay, so this one is here as part of the River's Edge at University project area, formerly known as the Mix on University Parkway. This structure would be going on to this location just east of the main intersection off University Parkway. The To the east and to the south are more of commercial campus, and then further east and further south are residential buildings that you might have seen going up. So this is the project area. This is, oop, wow. Hold on. There we go. There's the site plan to understand kind of placement of building, and landscaping, parking. And we've also got a rendering here of the structure with proposed materials. And we've got your elevation. So once again, I'll turn the time over to the applicant to present anything and to answer any questions you might have.
Oh.
So my name is Courtney Taylor. I'm with LM and Architecture. We're the architectural firm that's doing this building. It's a shell building with a tenant that will be a pet hospital, right? Is that what you would call it? So, as you can see, the landscaping is pretty simple. The trees were approved by the city already. This is the exterior of the building. It'll be brick with stucco. The colors are down there on the bottom, as you can see. These are actually colors that were previously approved by the HOA. Is that what you would call that around there? The River's Edge development, these are approved colors by them. And so that's why there's the snowbound, which will be the wider stucco. The stucco sample that is in there is not the color. That is just what the stucco texture will look like. The paint drawdowns will show you the actual colors, the snowbound, which is really a white, and then the gray, and then of course the midnight black and the Monterey brick. And you can see by the renderings where they can go. This is just a frontal rendering of what the building would look like, but the ones that I handed you will show you all four sides so you can see. They'll probably be better than these elevations. These are actually the drawing elevations, but any questions?
I think my only question was going to be, how it compared to the rest of the park, since it's all cohesive plan. But you said that the colors and stuff were chosen by that group. Okay.
Yeah, they have like a little CC&R type document, right? And then it has listed approved colors and
Cool.
things. And these were on there, and so that's why we've used them. They've also been approved by them, correct? We've received approval from them that these are acceptable.
So are you guys standalone owners and builders for a portion of this larger project? All right. Oh, okay. So it's not one builder for the whole River's Edge project. Huh. Cool. Okay. I like that it's real brick.
Yeah, it is. It will be.
Cool. Now, in this, there is a design standard in this area that stucco is a secondary material. Is that right? Okay. And that means it's less than 20% of the overall?
Yep.
Okay. This just looks like a lot, but it's less than 20%?
It is, because
Okay.
we have, as you look through there, you'll actually see that there's brick on other sides of the building, not just the
Okay.
front right there. And then they also had a requirement that it needed to be broken up. That's why there's two different colors and it's broken up like it is.
Yeah.
They also, at this site, they actually had us add some windows in the back and stuff that we did that you'll see on those
Okay.
renderings. So we've met all of their specifications.
Okay. I don't have any other questions or concerns.
But, okay, just for my own personal art, it looks very similar to Fair Health.
Is that
Yes.
okay?
I'm not speaking into it enough.
Okay.
I yell my
I-
quiet voice.
Yeah, and I didn't hear what it's like. A,
Is it part of Riverwoods or Revere Health? It looks like
No,
there
no.
are buildings. That area. Okay. Thank you.
I only have one design reaction. Once again, love the brick and using real materials here. I feel like the top of the parapet above the front entryway. So in this rendering, it feels like there could just be a little bit more vertical differentiation between those three layers, either by bringing the top layer up a little bit or maybe bringing the brick down a little bit. It's just like, it feels like maybe a 1.5 foot step between those three.
Mhm.
And I think it like would just maybe feel a little more poppy and like have a little more presence if either it went up a little bit or if the brick came down, to
Yeah.
just create more distinction between those three tiers.
and I understand exactly what you're saying. The front, it looks kind of like that because that's designed so that they can hang their sign once they move
The brick
in.
portion, you mean?
So yeah, so
Okay.
it's kind of, I think it'll break it up a little bit more once they put their big sign on the front there, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so maybe my recommendation would be get a little bit more vertical separation between those three layers. The very topmost, and then you've got the edge pieces that like just a little bit more so they don't feel like they're all on the same plane or close to the same plane. But that's not a requirement again.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to make that a motion for approval with recommendation?
Sure. Is it that's
I mean, I think, oh yeah, is there any public comment? I don't see any public comment, and I think we have finished discussion. So yeah, do you want to make that?
so I motion that we approve with a recommendation to explore if we can get a little bit more vertical distinction between those three tiers in the elevation.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Thanks, guys. Motion to adjourn. Second, approve. Okay. It's a veterinary clinic. It's bad. They have other locations? Oh, wow. So this is not a part of our committee or our purview, but I was just curious, do they handle animals other than cats and dogs? Yeah, usually something that's that big of a chain doesn't differentiate. They don't handle unique. Well, but when you say small animals, like would they do koi fish or uromastics? Because I'll be honest, I have many, many animals, and there are not vets in the whole state that'll give me prescriptions for my koi fish. So yeah, literally. I'd be curious, yeah, because we've been looking. Wow. Cool. Cool. Yes. My wife and I, we run an Instagram account. We have the URL for the Provo Zoo. It's kind of sort of a joke, but we have tortoises and I have pheasants and pigeons and chickens outside, and then a koi pond, and then a lot of little critters inside. So it's all the kids in the neighborhood come over and watch us, help us feed the animals. So for these critters, I just hand them all myself. Really, the issue I've run into is the koi fish, the large ones, when they get parasites or other issues, especially in the bacterial infections, they need a specific, I mean, some of them are this big. So they need injections of an antibiotic that I have to have a prescription for. And I can't. So the other people that breed them buy them illegally online. Yeah. Anyway, but it's just because I call around to these other shops and say, hey, I need you to write me a prescription for this thing. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, we don't do outdoor fish. So it's about 4,000 gallons. It's not huge. But... Yeah.